This shall be a continual burnt offering throughout your generations. The words of the previous clause, a sweet aroma, an offering made by fire, in Hebrew are masculine, and yet combined, they now are called a burnt offering. This in the Hebrew is feminine, and so it appears that there's a gender discord. But this is what Kyle calls an ad sensum. An ad sensum, which I had to actually look up, is a grammatical construction in which a word takes the gender or number, not of the word with which it should regularly agree, but of some other word implied in that word. In other words, there is a precision of thought and intent in the original, which is not seen in our translations. And now, once again, the word tamid, or continuously, is repeated from verse 38. The offerings were to be perpetual, but it cannot be said forever. They were to continue only as long as the law for which they were mandated was in effect. As a point of doctrine, then, it should be noted that those who perpetually reinsert precepts from the law into their Christian doctrine, that they're actually in violation of the law which they insist upon. If the law is in effect, then the sacrifices must be made. After the consecration of Aaron and his sons, this is the first point that has been considered. It is a continual or a perpetual statute for the time of the law. If the law is in effect in any part, then this part must be followed through with. Thus, it is both ridiculous and absurd to assume that one can pick and choose what parts of the Mosaic law they will adhere to. It is an all or a nothing thing. To go with all can only mean condemnation. To go with nothing means a full and complete trusting in Christ alone, of whom each of these only picture. If you're sticking to precepts of the law, be they tithing or not eating pork or any other part of the law, in hopes of pleasing God, you're not only failing, you're disgracing the work of his Son in offending him. Now, when I say tithing, the reason why I bring that up is because people think I've got to tithe. That's something that my preachers have always told me. Tithing is a precept under the law. It is fulfilled. We don't have to tithe. You give whatever you want or don't give anything. The only prescription in the New Testament is to give as you have been blessed. That's it. That's the only prescription. So I say that if you think that you are earning God's favor by tithing, you're inserting the law. And that's just the same as saying I need to be circumcised or I need to stop eating pork. Never let somebody snuff you like that. You listen to a guy that says that you should be tithing, leave that church. He's inserting the law into the new covenant grace of Jesus Christ. Anyway, it's just one of my pet peeves, so I don't want to dwell on it too much. But boy, it just makes me angry when people do that. Verse 42 continues, at the door of the tabernacle of meeting before the Lord. The translation here in the New King James Version is incorrect in part. I've said this 1,000 times, and I'm probably going to say it 1,000 more before we finish Exodus. It is the door of the tent of meeting, not the tabernacle. However, the King James Version does an even worse part by calling it the tabernacle of the congregation. They've used an entirely new set of words to describe what's going on here. This is entirely incorrect. In Hebrew, it is Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting. They have made the assumption that this is speaking of the door of the courtyard where the altar is most closely placed. But this is not correct. The sacrifices are said to be at the door of the tent of meeting before the Lord. This is speaking of the door to the tent of meeting itself, even though the altar is not placed in that exact spot. The door for the tent is the word petach. The gate of the courtyard is the word sha'ar. They are two entirely different words describing two different things. It is the altar before the door of the tent of meeting where the Lord would meet with the people and commune with them. This is seen in the next words. Verse 42 continues, where I will meet with you and speak with you. Most translations that we have today do not give a good sense of the words because of our modern use of the word you. It says, Asher ivaed lachem shama ladaber elecha sham, where I will meet with you, plural, and speak with you, singular. The reason for the wording is explained very well by Charles Ellicott. Here's what he said. This passage determines the meaning of the expression, tent of meeting. It was not the place where the congregation met together, implying the King James Version incorrect translation. For the congregation were forbidden to enter it, but the place where God met his people through their mediator and representative, the high priest, who could there commune with God and obtain replies from him on all practical matters that were of national importance. The fact that all communication was to be through the high priest is indicated by the change of person, plural to singular. The words in today's passage, as I said earlier, have been exceptionally precise, and they take great thought and consideration to understand. If you try, you can see what's going on rather clearly. Christ is the altar. Christ is the offerings. Christ is the high priest. Christ is the door. Christ is all of these things. Therefore, the Lord is saying that he will speak to us, plural, through him, singular. Everything about this edifice, the offerings, the exquisite wording that is used, all of it is intended for us to see the person and the work of Christ for us, both past, present, and ongoing, even until forever. This is seen in the next words as well.